orthodoxy. Right. And it's not a conservative Democrat model, but it's really about people that are free thinking, libertarians, people that value hard work, that think we're all equal despite our skin color or where we're from, that we all are deserving of respect. If you don't subscribe to what's really the pervasive orthodoxy, I mean, you're ostracized.
That's insane. All right, guys, Ann Atkinson here today. We're at Amfest. Is this your first one?
This is my second Amfest. I was here as a speaker last year talking about cancel culture and free speech, and this is my second annual and best Amfest.
Let's go. Yeah, you went through some cancel culture yourself, so I'd love to hear more about that.
I did. You know, what's interesting about cancel culture is it stems in higher education from arbiters who appoint themselves as those that know best, right? And my experience in cancel culture came from the largest public university in the nation with close to 180,000 students, Arizona State University. And my wrongdoing was to bring Charlie Kirk and Dennis Prager and Robert Kiyosaki to have a lecture and interview on the topic of health, wealth, and happiness. And the students didn't protest. The faculty and the deans ran an all-out condemnation campaign. So I dealt with cancel culture from within.
Right.
And I also got to see really the inner workings in higher ed and what should be a great university. Arizona State University should be leading in public speech and freedom of thought. But I saw how cancel culture really works and how the radical activists from within cause people to self-censor too.
Yeah.
So there's top-down, covert, and then there's this self-censorship movement that's overt. So my personal experience went viral. It turned into a national story, and I've been very public about it and working hard to do something and get some real results so that more students to come and other faculty and staff don't face the same thing that I went through.
Absolutely. Here you are providing 3 great entrepreneurs to these students to learn from, and then you get canceled for it. I mean, Kiyosaki's a billionaire. I think Charlie Kirk's obviously got a huge company. We're at his event right now with 20,000 people, and you get canceled. And did you lose your job over this?
I lost my job. So here's how it happened. I was the executive director of the T.W. Lewis Center for Personal Development at Barrett the Honors College at Arizona State University, which happens to be my alma mater.
Wow.
And I ran this center as really an outside entrepreneur coming into higher ed to bring the real world to these students.
Yeah.
Our center existed to teach entrepreneurship, career success, personal finance, self-awareness, happiness, really great, comfortable, practical topics. And we also existed to address the traditional American values of hard work, personal responsibility, faith, family, community service, and civic duty. And that was very triggering to many of the faculty from within. So in my role as executive director, I curated programs and content and had Robert Kiyosaki speak to the students on 7 different occasions, had speakers like Joe Polish of the Genius Network coming in to pour into these students at no cost to them to help connect them to the real world. The faculty didn't like it much. We were a very successful program. The turning point there, and there's a lot that happened from within, but the real turning point was my invitation of Dennis Prager, Charlie Kirk, and Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah.
And the faculty launched a condemnation campaign that led to the loss of my job as executive director. It led to the dismantling of the entire Lewis Center, which was a $1 million program.
Wow.
And led to the loss of Miss Lynn Blake, who was the events operations manager at the venue that hosted our event.
Wow.
So they took all of us out that had anything to do with this. And again, it wasn't public protesters. It wasn't students picketing. They were the faculty and the deans of the Honors College.
Crazy. That's unreal. Do you think this is an ASU issue, or do you think it's affecting all of college campuses in America?
Oh, this issue is so pervasive. ASU should be on the better end of the spectrum, but the College Fix just came out with research in the past couple of days. They looked at party affiliation within just ASU faculty through public records requests, and 15-1, these professors at ASU are Democrat to Republican. Wow. And that is very representative of what happens within the university. So in higher ed, think about the talent pipeline of professors. Where do they come from? they come from higher ed.
Right.
And so their ideas, their studies, their research tends to go deeper and deeper.
Shout out to today's sponsor, Prolon. If starting the year with a fast feels a little daunting, you're not alone. There's an entire community of individuals wanting to make a meaningful decision in their health, just like you. This is what makes group fasting so powerful and why I'm joining in on Prolon's January Longevity Challenge, which is a coach-led program to set you up for fasting success. Prolon's fasting mimicking diet is a revolutionary plant-based nutrition program that nourishes the body while making cells believe they're fasting. I got all 5 boxes here and I'm starting day 1 tomorrow. It's researched and developed for decades at USC's Longevity Institute and backed by leading US medical centers. It helps promote healthy blood sugar, enhanced skin appearance, fat loss, and improved energy and focus. It all starts with their 5-day program, which contains snacks, soups, and beverages designed to keep the body in a fasting state. No guesswork or planning required, which is a relief after a busy holiday. If you guys are ready to make 2025 your healthiest year yet, order your Prolon 5-day kit at prolonlife.com/DSH. And they're offering Digital Social Hour listeners 15% off their 5-day nutrition program. Use the code DSH at prolonlife.com/DSH.
Deeper into issues, which at the moment there's a lot on gender studies and kind of obscure topics and trans studies and women's studies and critical race theory. And they go down these holes and tend to get more and more extreme as they're educating themselves and then coming back into their own systems. So this is an issue that's pervading all of higher ed. Some universities are better than others, but then you get programs like the Lewis Center, which wasn't a political program at all. It wasn't faith-based. We just brought the real world. And those programs are attacked from within. Now, in my personal experience, again, covert, overt, some attacks were really direct. I had, over my decision to invite those speakers, a long-standing professor within the university emailed me on the ASU email account threatening to write a media hit piece focused on me and my career.
Crazy.
Because he didn't like the opinions of the speakers that I brought. And I've seen and I know the people within the university and with other universities that have faced complete retaliation for simply having a view that's different from the orthodoxy.
Right.
And it's not a conservative Democrat model, but it's really about people that are free thinking, libertarians, people that value hard work, that think we're all equal despite our skin color or where we're from, that we all are deserving of respect. If you don't subscribe to what's really the pervasive orthodoxy, I mean, you're ostracized.
That's insane. Did you want to pursue them legally after this happened to you?
So I considered pursuing ASU legally, and my decision was I really think I can make more change by dealing with things a little untraditionally. So after these attacks went on, in which, by the way, 39 of the 47 honors faculty signed a condemnation campaign petition against me in the Lewis Center. 39 of the 47.
That's crazy.
This wasn't, a couple faculty
and
that
these
were
are people you're talking to on campus, right? They're not just strangers.
These are professors within the Honors College and the supermajority. The deans at the Honors College removed our marketing posters featuring Dennis, Robert, and Charlie because it offended the faculty.
Wow.
And allowed the faculty to put up counter protest signs saying that our event was white supremacy and dangerous hate speech.
Robert Kiyosaki's Asian. That's crazy.
He's Asian. Dennis Prager is an Orthodox Jew. By the way, prayers to Dennis Prager. He's in the hospital. We're lifting him up as he recovers from a really, really bad accident.
Yeah.
But he's an Orthodox Jew. Our other speaker, Dr. Radhagopalan, is not American as well. He grew up in Sri Lanka, and somehow the faculty framed this as a white supremacy rally. So I decided not to just take a standard legal route. I thought, this is crazy the way these people attacked us and compared us to the KKK. So I thought, at Arizona State University, we have reasonable people in charge. They're going to do something about this. So I took this through the normal channels, through HR, through all the acronym levels of the bureaucracy, all the way up to the president and the board of regents, which oversee our public universities in Arizona, thinking that they would see how insane this is, thinking that they would see the student testimonials I provided talking about how their teachers told them in their class, do not attend. This is an event for white supremacists. I thought leadership would say no. And nothing happened. So I met with the provost. I submitted documentation to the president and the board of regents and the provost, including student testimonials, students saying how they were afraid to be photographed at our event, and nothing happened.
Wow.
The new dean of the honors college fired me, and the provost said, well, you invited these controversial speakers and you need to face the consequences for that.
Wow.
That's when I went public.
That is nuts. Did the students end up backing you afterwards?
The students were even the strongest students, those with the most conviction. Ultimately, they're students that don't want to have their academic records dinged for expressing their views. Even the strongest students, asked me not to publicly reveal their involvement, or those that attended the event made me promise they wouldn't be photographed.
Wow.
They were scared. They were scared of facing consequences and retaliation by their professors. So privately, they were very supportive. Some of them met with legislators in Arizona. Some of them went to the Capitol with me later on.
Wow.
They were involved, but timidly so, because they feared the professor's backlash.
That's such a shame, right?
Yeah.
They're going there to learn, to make a living, and they can't even be themselves. They can't
be
express themselves.
They have to self-censor. And isn't the point of higher education to prepare us really for the real world?
Yeah.
Right? And to let people explore truth and ideas. But what's happened is now higher ed is prescribing acceptable views, and so often saying, well, other views are hate speech and dangerous, and you shouldn't think that way, which then causes this self-censorship that we're seeing. So quick research, FIRE, the Foundation for Individual Rights and Free Expression, put out their 2025 annual student survey.
Yeah.
They surveyed 58,000 undergraduate students across the country. They do this every year. They work with College Pulse. And only 13% of the students surveyed this year are comfortable disagreeing with their professors on any type of controversial political topic in the classroom.
That's so low.
And publicly, only 10% of these students are comfortable disagreeing with their professors.
I mean, I personally never questioned my teachers when I was in school. I felt so scared to even do that.
Well, what's the upside? You have tremendous downside, but what's the upside?
Not much, because they're not going to change their opinion.
Right? So the issue is that in higher ed, they're filling their own talent pipeline, and more, it's become this ideological battleground where I think these professors really feel that they're right and good and protecting people from dangerous things.
Yeah.
But rewind to our program, the topic was health, wealth, and happiness. Charlie Kirk talked about enjoying the Sabbath. Dennis Prager talked about honoring your mother and father.
Yeah.
It was a really wholesome program. And in fact, it's still on YouTube. There are tens of thousands of views on the lecture, which is great turnout for a college campus lecture. And we had thousands of students there in person. If there was anything controversial about it, if there was any degree of hate or white supremacy or anything that the faculty alleged there would be, they would have come out with that. 100%. We had a robust attendance by media at this program. There was no story because it was just a good, wholesome program where there were a lot of things shared. Most people in the audience probably agreed with some things, disagreed with some things, because we're all free thinkers.
Yeah.
But in higher ed, we're just seeing more and more faculty push students to self-censor.
Yeah. What do you think something actionable people can do watching this for their nearby college campuses, maybe their parents sending their kids there or their students themselves? What do you think they could do?
Your viewers, the students, they have to be aware of how bad this is. It's really easy to gloss over and look at the things the universities say. Look at the policies that they promote. It sounds great. ASU is a perfect example of that. They say they investigated themselves after my experience and after my Wall Street Journal op-ed that went viral that led to a media tour and time with Maria Bartiromo on Fox Business and Sean Duffy and Dagan McDowell and the Rubin Report with Dave Rubin. With so many amazing people stepped in and brought attention to this. Dennis Prager, Charlie Kirk, Robert Kiyosaki, they all took time to really explore this issue. So we then led into legislative action because ASU did nothing. We had multiple legislative hearings as a result of this issue, this event. We had the Arizona legislature formed the Ad Hoc Committee on Freedom of Expression in Arizona's public universities. And we had a 5-hour legislative hearing. Dennis Prager came. He testified. Seth Liebson, who is a phenomenal conservative radio host in Arizona, he came to testify. We had one brave ASU professor, Dr. Owen Anderson, came to testify. The hearing happened. There were multiple follow-ups, but the legislature demanded that ASU investigate what happened. So they investigated themselves, and they found, surprisingly or not surprisingly, a series of unfettered examples of free speech, which is total baloney.
Wow.
If you know any of the details of the story, I've shared some today, but it's bad.
So did they hire a third party to investigate, or they did it themselves?
They hired an outside law firm and then assessed that law firm's findings. Actually hired a good lawyer, like a good person in Arizona. And then ASU went through and had their board of regents review the findings, and then they made the proclamation that they found a series of examples of unfettered free speech.
Wow.
And then that's how they tried to kill the story. ASU started a new free speech center.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen who's running it. What are they actually going to do? That sounds great, but what's the substance there? Not much really changes. So what can your viewers do? People have to wake up. They have to see what's happening. Ask parents, ask your students. Students, think to yourself, how many times have you or a friend signed up for a class thinking it would be one thing and then finding out it's actually an ideological indoctrination course on Marxism? That happens all the time. For example, as executive director of the Lewis Center, we put on 150 speaker programs in 2 years. We had 30 plus or minus courses each semester, and I'm reviewing the syllabus of one of our courses on personal finance and life skills.
Yeah.
Great topic, right? Any student should be aware of personal finance and life skills. The homework reading assignments for this course included the case for slavery reparations and the case to defund the police. Now, I'm okay if any professor wants to teach these things. They have academic freedom. If they want to teach things like Barrett, the Honors College really focuses on their witchcraft professor. I think if students want to learn about witchcraft, they can do that. They're adults.
Yeah.
But not in a personal finance and life skills class where they're tricking students and misleading them to sign up for a class that then turns into indoctrination to a worldview.
Right.
That happens every day. I'm riding home with our friend last night who was talking about her niece, and her niece signed up for a class and it turned out to be really a Marxism activism class. And her niece wrote a paper on that spoke out against Marxism, and her professor said, no. You need to make the case for Marxism. This is happening everywhere. So solutions, one solution no one is talking about, syllabi transparency. Think about when you go to buy a car, you know what you're buying when you leave the lot. When a student signs up for a course, most of the time there's no syllabus. And they sign up and the topic sounds great and the course description sounds great, but they don't know what they're buying. They're paying thousands of dollars and they don't get the syllabus most often until the course is starting.
Right.
By then, it's too late to move around to a course that's a good time, that's a good fit, that it fits their interests and their major requirements and their schedule, timing of the day. There's no syllabi transparency. Even at ASU, where the university says we provide syllabi, they don't.
Yeah.
At Barrett, I looked at, it was last spring semester, over 80% of the course sections of the required honors course do not provide a syllabus at registration. So students are picking a class that's required out of the, 50 or 80, I forget how many sections of that course there were. And they're picking based on time and days of the week because it's all required. And then they end up getting the professor who wrote a book, I'm not going to say the word, but How to F a Kraken, which is a mythical sea creature. Or they're going to get the professor that brags to me when I was executive director there at Barrett, at the Lewis Center, on how at least one student in every one of her classes each semester will come out as gay or trans or something.
Whoa.
Bragging of that. Like it was an objective.
Yeah.
And a student is just taking a mandatory honors class. So I've been working with our legislature in Arizona on syllabi transparency legislation that would just return power to the students. Let them see what they're signing up for before they pay for it, before they put it into their schedule. And we've received tremendous pushback on that.
I bet you have. Wow. And where can people keep up with you, support you, and follow you?
Well, thank you. I so appreciate this conversation. I'm on Twitter. It's #Ann_Atkinson_AZ. That's ANN_Atkinson. ATKINSON_AZ. I'm active on that. I'm on Instagram, also Ann Atkinson. And I'm really fighting to make a difference. So students, if you are facing these issues, reach out. Let me help. Bring these issues to my awareness. Let me connect you to people who can do something. Speak up. They have to speak up. If they don't, this continues. And we can have real common sense solutions, common sense policy solutions like syllabi transparency, which who would disagree with that except for the professors who have something to hide, who are intentionally deceiving students. So follow me, help the mission. This is a fight. It will continue. It's a big one, and we're not going away.
Amazing. We'll link your stuff below. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, guys.